Welcome into Eye on Northeast podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Bruner. This is where we recap some of the top interviews you saw over the past week on Eye on Northeast Kansas, the TV show. You can watch it streaming live Monday through Friday, 4 o'clock Central Time from our WIBW studios in Topeka, Kansas. We have had a busy past week with severe weather and more on the horizon. Of course, a lot of thoughts and prayers and attention was turned to the small town of Westmoreland, which was hit by a tornado last Tuesday evening as severe weather then spread all across our viewing area. One person lost their life in the Westmoreland tornado, so certainly we send all of our thoughts to those who have been assisting in the recovery efforts. More than 20 homes destroyed in addition to the person killed. 3 others were injured, and so it's been a tough time for that town, and we've been following those recovery efforts. On Eye on Northeast Kansas, we've had a lot of serious issues to tackle, including Sexual Assault Awareness Month. We wrapped things up with Michelle McCormick of the Kansas Coalition Against Sexual and Domestic Violence. She was joined by Jennifer Anyanda and Gabby Boyle of the Sexual Abuse Trauma Center in Lawrence. They have been doing some interesting work in exploring the connections between affordable housing availability and violence prevention. They visited to fill us in a bit on what they are seeing. Thank you all for being here, ladies. Okay. And Michelle, this theme of building connected communities, how does that play into the role of sexual violence?
Yeah, we're excited that we've gotten to highlight that there are many different strategies at preventing sexual violence, and some of them have included these individual level strategies, but mostly we've been really focusing on these community level strategies and societal level strategies, including looking at issues like economic justice, access to affordable childcare, and today focusing on access to affordable housing as a strategy actually to prevent sexual violence.
Which is very interesting because you don't think about housing and how that might be linked. So what were you noticing, Jennifer, in Lawrence that had you start diving into this issue?
So our community is very lucky that we got a grant through KDHE that is supported through the CDC to really look at primary prevention strategies within our community. And so we conducted an assessment of our whole community approximately 5 years ago to really identify what the priorities were in the community and what was coming up as far as data where folks were experiencing more insecurity. And so housing was one of our primary focuses that arose through that process.
And I understand, Gabby, you were the one who kind of really dug in and found all of this. What were you seeing was the connection between violence, particularly sexual violence, and having a safe place to call home?
Yeah, absolutely. So for context, when I started this work, it was 2020.
There was a little thing called a pandemic going on.
Yes, you might remember. But what I was hearing from community partners were that the most marginalized folks that they worked with, women, families, people of color, were having a hard time finding housing that worked with things like emergency rental assistance that were being distributed at that time, or housing choice vouchers. And we know from our research into primary prevention that having a safe place to call home is not only a preventative factor, but it also is a keystone of healing. If somebody doesn't have a place where they can feel safe, where they can feel comfortable, where they're not extremely, economically burdened, or living in inhabitable conditions, like that is the first step in healing, right?
And so the way they were being able to afford that was by getting these grants. So what did you do? What happened in Lawrence as the result of your work to change that?
Yeah, so me, along with our stakeholder coalition, the Sexual Violence Prevention Work Group, we researched and did a lot of education and advocacy surrounding creating protections for a source of income, so how someone is paying their rent. And that was adopted as a part of the City of Lawrence's discrimination chapter, meaning that is now a protected class. So while property managers, landlords can still use their own screening tools when it comes to things like emergency rental assistance, housing choice vouchers, other housing subsidies, even things like mutual aid or funds from a family member, friend, gifts, etc., those legally cannot be a reason to deny someone housing.
And this is in Lawrence. Jennifer, how rare is an ordinance like what Lawrence enacted last year?
So I believe there are a little over 100 communities across the United States that have those. We are the first one in the state of Kansas to have passed an ordinance like this.
And because this was such groundbreaking work that that Gabby did, Michelle, what did you do? And we have the result of that here.
Yeah,
we're going to brag on you, Gabby.
Yeah, the Kansas Coalition found this work to be really innovative, so we nominated Gabby and obviously representing the Care Center and the work of the group in Lawrence for the Visionary Voice Award, which comes from some of our national partners. And so we got to present Gabby with this lovely award for this innovative program and really demonstrating to folks how we can implement these community-based solutions in order to prevent sexual violence. So
absolutely. Have you been getting any inquiries from other communities as far as how this work maybe can be replicated elsewhere?
Yes, definitely. And not just with our housing work, although certainly a lot of communities are interested in how folks in our position in community nonprofits and anti-violence organizations can join the conversation on housing, but in our other primary prevention strategies as well, which is really exciting. I would love to see Kansas become safer for everyone that lives here. And yeah.
Well, we want everyone to feel safe. So if you do need some resources, here are a few things. KCSDV can be reached at kcsdv.org. There's the statewide hotline, 888-363-2287. And if you'd like to reach the Care Center in Lawrence, their 24/7 hotline is 785-843-8985. Michelle, appreciate all you've done to help open our eyes all throughout this month. Jennifer, Gabby, appreciate the work that you do as well, day in and day out.
Thank
Need
you.
folks to step up and advocate. We appreciate you.
Our thanks to Michelle and all the advocates that have been joining us and who work tirelessly every single day on the issue of violence prevention and sexual violence prevention. They, of course, have been assisting us throughout the month of April as we've taken a closer look at the issue. Their work will not end, and certainly we extend our appreciation for all their efforts. Holocaust Remembrance Day took place Monday, May 6th. Of course, Kansas has had its statewide commemoration ceremony each year, and this year these events are taking place against the backdrop of the violence between Israel and Hamas and the situation and conflict in Gaza. Rabbi Sam Stern of Topeka's Temple Beth Shalom was joined on the show with Jessica Rockhold of the Midwest Holocaust Education Center. They not only looked ahead to the remembrance that was going to be taking place in Topeka, but they also talked about the importance that of the lessons that we learned there and how we must never forget.
Appreciate you both being here.
Thank you for having us.
And especially against the backdrop of what's been happening around the world. Jessica, why is this commemoration of particular importance this year and every year?
Well, in Holocaust education, we talk a lot about the relevance of this story and the lessons of this history. And it seems that no matter how much work we do, it remains relevant. And this year, particularly so, we're seeing unprecedented levels of anti-Semitism, and that's not just a national or a worldwide phenomenon. We do see that locally. So we know that we're living in a community that is deeply polarized. We're living in communities that just cannot quite seem to get over the inborn biases, and so these lessons are more important than ever.
Absolutely. What is going to all happen at Monday's commemoration, Rabbi Stern?
Absolutely. There will be candle lighting, there will be remarks and a proclamation from the governor, Laura Kelly. There will be a keynote speaker by Misha Mentscher, who is a leader in Canadian Shoah remembrance and will tell the story of his family's Holocaust experience.
Those firsthand stories, how valuable are they?
They help give people a personal connection, help people understand through the anecdotes of family history the horrors of the Holocaust. And so it's always very impactful for people to share those personal stories with communities that haven't heard them before.
As you educate people, how many lives were lost during the Holocaust?
We use the number 6 million Jewish lives. That is obviously an estimate and a round number. And then up to 5 million non-Jewish victims as well.
This is not a ceremony simply for people of the Jewish faith or the Jewish heritage. Why would you encourage everyone to come to this ceremony?
Well, again, this is about the lessons of the Holocaust and reaching people on an empathetic level, helping them not just understand the facts about what happened, but internalize something about what that means to humanity. And that's a lesson for everyone.
And hearing these stories, I just want to add that hearing these stories can really assist people in understanding that there are fundamental lessons that come along with learning about the Holocaust. the kind of hatred that we see growing in the world, the kind of anti-Semitism we see growing in this country, people should know where where hatred of people based on group identities leads. And so studying the Holocaust is a way for people to understand the extreme end of what happens when we allow these kind of hatreds to fester.
And I was going to mention, Rabbi Stern, you just had your Blends Brunch where you invite the whole community in. And so even more so, or equally important to people taking time to remember and learn the history, is the coming together of community and just meeting one another as people.
Absolutely. We loved having so many people back at the Blends Brunch this year at Temple Beth Shalom. And it's great to be in community with everyone. And we hope we'll be in community with people in observing and remembering the Holocaust in a very similar way that we're with people at the Blends Brunch.
Obviously, it'll be a very different mood.
It's a different tone, but it's also an opportunity for people to share experiences.
Well, we would encourage everyone to attend. It's such an important event to remember and learn. If you weren't able to attend the remembrance ceremony, the Midwest Holocaust Education Center was going to have the video on its YouTube channel for anyone to watch. Topeka is celebrating Black history as we are coming up on the 70th anniversary of the Brown versus Board of Education U.S. Supreme Court ruling desegregating education. It's not just Brown v. Board and the fact that we are home to the National Historic Park at the former Monroe School. There are a lot of people and events that we should remember surrounding that anniversary. Sherry Kemp is with the Black American Blueprint Collective. She joined us to talk about a couple of bridges that they were going to be rededicating over the weekend and the people behind them, as well as all the events that are going to be leading up to the Brown v. Board anniversary. And so many events taking place to honor the legacy of Brown versus Board, because it is such an important part of our history and the nation's history, right?
It is, truly it is. And thank you, Melissa, for inviting me on. I am really excited about all of the things that we're doing, all of the things that are happening with the Brown Foundation and the coalition and the collective and all of the things that are making up our events for this 70th anniversary of Brown.
You had the Exodusters recognition last Saturday. We covered that on our news. You have something else coming up this Saturday. What is this?
That's right. This Saturday we are rededicating the Lucinda Todd and the Nick Childs bridges, and they're both on 10th Street.
Who were they? First of all, Lucinda Todd. She's a big part of the Brown v. Board story.
Yes, and a lot of us don't think that the Brown v. Board decision in Topeka would have happened if it weren't for Lucinda Todd and the letters that she wrote to the NAACP asking them to come help with desegregation in Topeka specifically, and the things that were going on here with McKinley Burnett and all of the NAACP that was around at that time.
And the story goes, the decision to proceed with the case was made at her kitchen table, and she volunteered to be the first plaintiff signing on.
Absolutely.
Amazing lady to know.
Exactly.
Nick Childs, who was he?
Oh, he was a character, but more than a character, he was a politician. He was an activist, civil rights activist. He was a newspaper man. He was a business owner. He did lots and lots of things. And I try to tell the community, whenever you get an opportunity to learn some more about Nick Childs, please take advantage of it, because not only did he have the 3 buildings that are on 7th Street between Quincy and Kansas right now, they're still there. He also just did wonderful things in our city. He wrote a letter to the Pope, and the Pope answered him, and just all kinds of things. He bought a house over next to Governor's Row, the row house, and so he told the governor, well, which used to be there, the governor's house used to be there, I'm sorry, you can come and borrow a cup of sugar from me anytime. This is what he used this newspaper for. So he not only talked about all of the good things that were happening in the city and with African Americans, he also was a civil rights leader and talked to people about what needed to happen as far as politics and proclaiming things and talking about things that weren't supposed to be happening.
So Saturday you'll start at 10th and Monroe.
We will.
And are you going to walk from bridge to bridge, or how is it going to
the
unfold?
first thing we're going to do is we're going to have let's see, we're going to have 2 talks. One by, and all of a sudden the names go out of my head, but Stacy Knoll, the director of the Kansas African American Affairs Commission.
And then Gina Repass.
Gina Repass, who is chair of the Democratic Party here in Kansas. And so they're going to both dedicate each bridge and talk a little bit about both of those. And then we'll actually do a walk and do, kind of symbolically to say, hey, this is here and this is happening.
So that'll be a great event. There is an exhibit you want to talk about as well.
Oh, our stories. Our stories exhibit is at the library. It's a wonderful exhibit. It's all about African Americans in Topeka. It celebrates the neighborhoods and kind of gives you a foundation of what the neighborhoods were like. It celebrates early African Americans, the Exodusters. It celebrates Dick Childs. We have some reenactors. It talks about Apex Theater and also education. We have an education corner that celebrates not only past teachers, but teachers today.
A fantastic exhibit. How long is that going to be open?
It's going to be there until May the 19th. And then we're going to have a little bit of a traveling. We'll be moving from one place to another, and the next place we'll be moving to is Brown v. Board.
It's an amazing part of our history, and
Yes.
the 70th anniversary of Brown v. Board certainly is an opportunity to share these stories and share the difference that people in Topeka made on a national and global level. So we
Absolutely.
appreciate you sharing those stories,
Thank you
Sherry.
so much,
Thank
Melissa.
you. You can head to their website to see the full calendar of events. A lot is taking place. We're excited to be home to this history in Topeka, Kansas. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. We kicked things off with Mickey Bircher from Valeo Behavioral Health and Angie Anderson from Cashmere Popcorn. A lot of businesses are joining in on supporting mental health awareness and supporting Valeo as they work to support people in their own mental wellness and seeking help when they're in crisis. Mickey, Mental Health Awareness Month, we all have a brain, so why is this month so important?
Well, it's really all about raising awareness of the local resources that are available, but also, as always, just breaking that stigma and really getting the message out that mental health challenges are something that are very common, that they are overcomable, recovery is possible, and that there is help available. So Mental Health Awareness Month is all about just getting that message out there.
I've been thinking about it too, and I saw somebody post on Facebook who was hit by storms a couple weeks ago, and when we think about all the recent storms we've had, weather can produce anxiety for lots of folks, and that's normal.
Absolutely. Outside factors in life are definitely always going to play a part in how you're feeling and what your stress levels are and your anxiety levels are. So after any big storms or scares, especially if there's something really big that happens like to your home, it can definitely cause some long-lasting effects. And there are resources available to help deal with any of those feelings that are coming up.
And to ensure resources like Valeo's programs are available, it takes support, and that is where Cashmere Popcorn comes in. Because Angie, what are you doing to support Valeo during Mental Health Awareness Month?
We are partnering with Valeo this month, and we are selling our fundraiser bags. We're selling cinnamon, cheese, caramel, and tornado, and 30% of the profits go back to Valeo to support their services.
I think anybody who's just been through a storm would buy the tornado mix just to say, this is how you can reduce your anxiety by crunching on some popcorn.
Yeah.
But it's an important issue. And why did you decide to do something like this? I know you support a lot of causes, but this one in particular.
Well, I think mental health is very important. It affects my family significantly, and so I was really for moving forward with this and supporting something that is used throughout our community.
Absolutely. And knowing that resources are there, has your family been able to access resources and find help and all of that?
Yes.
That's fantastic news. There are a lot of programs that you do have, Mickey, and Cashmere Popcorn, not the only one that is supporting. You also have, by Fueling Up, you can help Valeo.
Yeah, Daryl's Service Station has this incredible initiative. It's called the Giving Pump. It's got a big old sign on it. You'll be able to tell exactly which one. But throughout the entire year, actually, but we're really highlighting it during Mental Health Awareness Month, 2 cents of every gallon pumped at the Giving Pump comes back to Valeo. And we are just so incredibly thankful to Daryl and his team for allowing us to be the recipients of all the funds from the Giving Pump.
And the location is where?
It is on, I knew you were going to ask me that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's at 21st and Gage-ish. It's down the street a little bit, kind of across from Devlin's.
Okay, very good. So that's where you can find that. How easy is it to get these bags of popcorn, Angie?
Oh, so it's going to be extremely easy. You walk in our door and
Well, that's easy enough.
straight to your right, you'll see a shelf that's dedicated to nothing but these bags with the Valeo sign on them. These bags are $25, and 30% of that will be given directly to Valeo.
It's like $7.50 of it
Yep.
goes. So that's a pretty generous.
$7.50 a bag will go to Valeo.
And I mean, just how good does eating popcorn make you feel? And just walking in the shop and smelling the smells, right?
Yes.
Well, we appreciate that.
It does.
Do you
It
have a
smells-
favorite among the flavor that you'd recommend?
It's absolutely always going to be tornado, and I hate to say that word today.
Yeah, well, that's true. Hopefully this is the only kind of tornado we are going to see
Exactly.
today, right? That is what
That
we
is
are
my
hoping
favorite.
for. How important is support like this, Mickey?
Oh, it's incredibly important. When local businesses and community leaders step up and say that this is something that we care about and this is something that we're acknowledging, it just really goes to show that people who are suffering from a mental health challenge will have support from community leaders and local businesses. So again, it's always about breaking that stigma and just showing people they're not alone.
Yes, and you can help by just buying some popcorn. Easy enough. 728 South Kansas Avenue is where you'll find Cashmere Popcorn. The fundraiser continues through May 18th, so lots of time to get down there. And the Daryl's Service Giving Pump, 2 cents from each gallon all year at 4300 Southwest 21st. Gauge-ish. And it is Mental Health Awareness Month. We are going to have a lot more with mental health awareness here on Eye on Northeast Kansas. And of course, you can find the resources at wibw.com/hearmeseeme. Ladies, thank you very much, Mickey and Angie.
Thank you.
Appreciate you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Valeo also kicked off the month by hosting its Breakfast for Hope. It was the second year for the event. Kendall Gammon, a retired Kansas City Chiefs player and now speaker on mental health issues, was the keynote speaker for the event, and we caught up with him to get a few of his thoughts.
I think understanding that it doesn't delineate among people, that everybody has been affected by it one way or the other. If it's not their own mental health, it's others they know. This is not Kevin Bacon and 6 degrees of separation. This is 1 degree of separation. And just being aware of it and understanding that it's real, even when it's hard to understand at times, I think is so very important. I speak with vets and first responders all the time as well, and oftentimes when they get done, they're used to having all their time set out for them, but then you go a different direction. Now all of a sudden you're in a different world. For me, in the NFL for 15 years I played, and then I got out and I was 15 years behind. And I had times that, there were times that I was dark, but I had a lot of support, but some people don't have that support, or they don't know how to go about things. And people just get stuck at times, and they need people to, quote, get them unstuck. And I know it's not that simple, but I'm just trying to put it in those terms. But it's a huge deal. I mean, we all deal with something, and understanding it, I speak about it because if all people see is a guy that was in the NFL, played in the Super Bowl, a Pro Bowl, and all those different things, then I don't know that they can relate. But then when they hear the fact that I went through therapy for years and years and have dealt with some dark times, that then hopefully helps me relate to them.
On a personal note, Valeo selected me this year, and I was honored to receive their Mental Health Awareness Warrior Award. They have asked me, and I've been honored to be selected as the MC for their Unmasking Stigma event every year since it started 7 years ago. A great event to raise awareness of mental health issues and also to support Valeo. Of course, we've been reporting all year long. We have had our Hear Me, See Me project that you've seen on wibw.com/Hear Me, See Me. It also has a companion podcast. So if you haven't listened to that one, tune on in and listen. Very humbled to be selected for that honor, but also grateful to have a platform to continue to raise awareness on such an important issue. Remember, if you'd like to see the videos from these clips and all the guests that you see on Eye on Northeast Kansas, you can head to WIBW.com. We also have a dedicated stream for them on our WIBW 13 News YouTube channel, and I post those links on my Facebook page, which is WIBW Melissa Bruner, along with our studio selfies. Thanks so much for being with us this week, and until next time, we'll see you on the red couch.